Hello to all our listeners. Welcome to today's Medshield Movement Connect episode. Today, we're sitting down with Proteas All-rounder Andile Phehlukwayo to chat about his journey and his road to becoming one of South Africa's rising stars. Get ready to know what you don't know about being body brilliant. This is the Medshield Movement Connect show, where we connect the dots between fitness, health, wellness, nutrition, and of course you. Hosted by me, Dr. Fezile Mkhize, and a special guest that we have every month, sharing knowledge, insights, and groundbreaking tips on how to get fitter, be stronger, and live healthier. Turn up the volume and listen close. Today you amplify. It's the Medshield Movement Connect show. Let's go. Andile, thank you so much for joining us today on Medshield Movement Connect, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Fezile.
I mean, I feel like it's been such an interesting time because we are in unorthodox time, lockdown and everything else with the pandemic that's been going on. How has it been treating you?
For me, it's been quite an interesting phase in my life. I think, first of all, I've never been in a situation like this where I've been able to be at home for this long. It's been a positive thing and a negative thing at the same time. I haven't had the opportunity to be with family, obviously being afraid of having a mom that's quite old and can't really be close to her unless you don't have COVID. But I think just being on the safety precautions and staying away from her. There's a lot of things that I had time to think about, my career, how far I've come, things that I need to work on, where I want to go, off and on the field, how I want things to actually develop in my life, and how obviously I don't have control of that, but I just sit in plans, think about the things that I've achieved and things that I've fallen short on and why it happened. So, and just improve on those things. So I think lockdown for me was actually it's a space where it gave me the opportunity to think about those things, because during the season there's not much time for that. Everything's busy, running around, you're doing a lot of things. So it was a good thing for me, actually.
I mean, you're talking about the things you've achieved in your life. Now, I was born in 91. I still feel like I'm quite young, 29 years old. You were born in 96 and you're already a Protea and you're an all-rounder, which is such an incredible thing to think about, because everybody likes to kind of put themselves into a specialized kind of area, but you've decided to become good across the board. How is that? I mean, how do you mentally become that holistic player who's able to step up when the time comes to kind of end things off in an innings, or to be able to also kind of take the ball and decide, okay, listen, this is me. I'm going to be the man who knocks off the tail end batsmen who are kind of free out there doing what they need to do.
I think for me that hungerness and that wanting to do so well started in school, where I wanted to do all sports, and I think as a kid you want to do all sports and you want to be good at them, and I think slowly but surely that I wouldn't call it tradition, but that eagerness to try to do well filtered in my career in terms of all the sports that I did. I wanted to be the best at it, and I think that's where, when I started playing cricket, I wanted to do everything, not just field or just bat.
I love how you're saying this, like, I just wanted to be good at all sports. Two codes of sports you're playing for South Africa, hockey and cricket. So it's not even like this was something that's new to you when it comes to being good across the board. So clearly it was something that was filtering throughout, not just cricket, but just life in general.
Yeah. So, as I said, I just wanted to be as strong as I can be at any sport that I did, or anything in terms of sports, because I think that was one of my strengths in terms of in school. Not to say schoolwork wasn't, but just didn't focus too much on that. But I wanted to be the best I could be in terms of any discipline that I did, and I put pressure on myself to try execute whatever I'm doing at the time, and I think that's what helped me to become who I am as an all-rounder, specifically with my discipline in terms of, if I'm batting, I want to be the best I can be with the bat. If I'm bowling, I want to be the best I can be with the ball. And even on the field, and in terms of all those disciplines, I think I just try to emphasize to make sure that I'm always putting pressure on myself to do well. And obviously the preparations and the hard work that you put on in the off season and behind the scenes is really important for you to actually become that player. So that helped quite a lot. And then obviously with all that pressure of being an all-rounder, it is also quite difficult mentally. That's where you need to try make the difference between batting and bowling, and you need to put your batting cap on and put your bowling cap on. So that's also something that helped me quite a lot.
And the thing in Kaza about you that really kind of stands out, we come from a similar place, the South Coast. Where exactly were you kind of raised in the South Coast?
On the South Coast, I came from Nkothaneni, but usually I was raised in Margate. So
Margate, Oslo Beach, pretty much same area.
Beach vibes, surfing.
And it's a laid back place. People are very open, they're very comfortable. So when you start speaking about the kind of this focus and wanting to go out there and being the best and mentally being able to handle this concept of this athlete who at the age of 12 was able to get kind of the scholarship, went and then played 2 sports at such a high level, where do you think that originated from? Because I know for me, coming from those circumstances, I always tell people, come from a very kind of humble but strong background where my mother was a teacher and she was looking after very extensive immediate family and extended family, as well as my granny who was working as a domestic worker, who was probably the smartest person I know, just from her ability to speak and just her thought around things. That's where my root kind of comes from doing medicine to media, all of those kind of things. And for us coming from the same place, I feel always very interested to know what was your thing.
I think I wouldn't say our stories are similar, but I would say the background and the environment was quite similar, because my mom was a domestic worker as well, and I came from a family that couldn't financially support me, and I was lucky enough to have someone to help me financially with schoolwork, and that was the person that my mom worked for. So in terms of that, I was really fortunate. I think where that comes from is that my mom really put a lot of emphasis on me going to school, making sure that she's doing everything in her power to get me an education and to get me doing what I love, and to see me happy. And in terms of that's where my mindset changed, in terms of saying, actually, I need to also play my part and do something to change this environment and to change where I come from. And my mindset all of a sudden changed as I grew up, and it was to say, I'm not gonna grow up in a place where all my cousins are dealing drugs, they stealing, there's killings around them. And I was like, the best way I can get myself out of this environment is to actually get an education, in which I was lucky enough I could, and to enhance that by playing sports. And that type of stuff got me out of those things, and my whole mindset of not thinking about going back to that environment. So, and then I also went to boarding school, and I lived with my mom where she worked, so that helped quite a lot. And as you say, your environment also doesn't mean to hold you back from what you want to do. So I used that, my environment and where I came from, as a motivation and something that I can use to lift me when I'm a bit down, or to just remind me why I started and why I'm doing this. And every day that's what helped me, especially when I was in high school and I had a little bit of academic problems. Not academic problems, but I wasn't getting the marks that I really wanted, and so I got people to help me, and that's when I also put in a little bit more hours in terms of my schooling, and that's where everything changed for me. And I was fortunate enough to get opportunities to play KZN schools and just deal my traits in school. And then after that, I was lucky enough to play for the Dolphins and play for South Africa.
Yeah, it's just listening to you, it's so funny, because yours is expressed on the field, on the pitch, and everything that you do. And I try to exemplify the things that you're talking about, and that drive to want to not just better yourself, but everybody you grew up with. It's just such an interesting thing mentally. Because I can also think back, medical school, having to try get money to be able to get through that, because we just weren't able to afford it, and then propelling that further and further. But it's always so important when we're talking about that mental wellness, and especially in your case, because you've done so much in such a short period of time, and your career is literally just skyrocketing, and you've adapted and become the player that you've become, where people hand you the ball when it's clutch time. I mean, mentally, how do you keep yourself that sharp?
So mentally, I think I try to keep myself away from things that are going to put pressure on me personally, and by that I have a good supportive system that helps me in terms of not thinking about the things that could impact me mentally, and they deal with those things that are quite important. I think if I had to have everything on me by myself, it would be mind blowing, because on the field I'd be thinking about everything else that's happening behind me, and not what's happening in front of me and what's present at the moment. So, and then in terms of performing at that level and at such a pressure situation, I just try to clear everything out and focus on what's happening at the time, and not try to focus on what the result's going to be, but focus on what I can do to actually implement whatever's happening at the time. So mentally, that's where I try to keep my space, and I don't try also think about what the media is going to say after the game, who's watching.
And that's tough.
It is a tough thing, actually, because after the game, then all of a sudden you're on your phone, you're busy like, oh, he failed again. And then all of a sudden, oh, you did well. So
and you're a person, yeah.
At the end of the day, that's how I try to help myself to clear those thoughts out. It's just to worry about what's happening right now, and that's the only thing I can control. And if I can control that, I give myself the best opportunity to perform.
These are words from a guy who was born in 96. I feel like these are things I only recently learned to kind of really fortify in my mind. But I always like to ask this, just because I know so many different sportsmen and people talk about diet, and sometimes people feel really bad, and they're like, oh, but I mean, elite sportsmen, they never cheat days, never a thing. They perform at an elite level. Their nutrition's always intact. How's your nutrition been during lockdown? Like, how is it? Have you kale salads with steamed broccoli and steamed bread?
So I stay with a mate of mine. So it's been quite interesting. When we started lockdown, we were on the cooking spree, learning how to cook. But all those things, chocolate cake, baking. So we were trying to be very diverse in terms of that. So they didn't really start like a nutrition type place where my diet is really strict at the time. But then a few months into it, then I was like, you know what, I need to get onto my bike here, and I need to start eating better, because obviously the season's going to kick in quite soon. And then I started being really strict on my diet, because I also wanted to lose weight and trim a little bit in terms of my physique. I wasn't quite happy, and I thought it was just letting me down in terms of my performances a little bit. So it is something that I'm working on. Obviously, I'm not as great as you.
Listen, just stop it. No, but I think it's such an admirable thing, and for me, it's almost part of being a young athlete working in the realm that you're working, because social media is a big part of what we do today, and it affects your mental well-being. It affects how you feel about how you may necessarily look. Now, listen, I did go through your social media. You're looking good with the threads, looking good, looking sharp, but for you, do you think that impacts you, on the field, at home, when it comes to what you think about your body? Because it's always easy to see if you're doing well, if you're performing, how the ball moves, pace, how you're actually kind of hitting the ball. It's always good to kind of see that. But at the same time, there's sometimes an iffy point where it's like, am I supposed to be ripped at like 5% body fat as well, so I can take photos on social media because I am an athlete? And so how have you handled that kind of pressure?
I think I'm still trying to figure out things or ways to understand that dynamic also. I think it's not something I can perfect now, because I'd be trying to wear two caps at the same time, and I can only wear one. But if I'm wearing one cap with the understanding of both of those things, I think then I could be better. I think in terms of social media and what people perceive, I think it is quite a tricky one, but and then the person who you want to be and off the field is also a dynamic which is quite hard to stem and to understand at the same time, because are you pleasing yourself, or are you pleasing people? And I think you need to find a way to get those two together, and understand this is the way you want to take forward. For me, I enjoy my Instagram and my social media, so I would do.
He's verified. You are verified.
No, that's just my luck. That's just my luck.
He's got clout.
That's just my luck. I enjoy my lifestyle as well, so I enjoy dressing well. As I can see, you dress well, I like style. Very diverse in terms of style as well, so I can wear anything as long as it suits my body type. So I need to get to that body type. That's why, as you say, Hawaiian nutrition and working out is so important. So for me, that's why I'm trying to also get a bit leaner, so that my social media page and my Instagram is popping.
Be lit. Yeah. Can be lit. No, I feel like when I started really delving into you, I was feeling inspired. You may be younger than me by a couple of years, but I really feel like we had such similar...
you inspired me, by the way, but
I hope everybody heard that. I'm inspirational. But it's just so ironic, because even with my gran, I remember watching, this is like my first kind of images of cricket and cricketers and these larger than life personalities. And the person for me who was always like, I knew when my granny was like, Zulu, Lance Cruz is coming in, he's about to clinch this game.
Yeah.
That's kind of the role for me that you have kind of stepped into. And I know that he's one of your icons, the people you've looked up to. How does that feel in terms of being able to know that you're stepping into this role of somebody who is otherwise going to clinch a game, and this is the person you've always looked, that kind of a batsman, that kind of an all-rounder has been the person you've looked up to your entire life?
So I was privileged enough when I first came into the system. I was coached by him, and there's a lot of things that he taught me. And the one thing that he did tell me is that even though as a cricketer we are very similar, you still have to be yourself, and you have to be the cricketer you are. Don't try be me, because you can't be me. So I think those were very insightful words for me, because at the end of the day, when I first came into the scenes, it was like the next Zulu. Zulu looks up to you. He's obviously brought you in, and as a player, he sees himself in you. But for our personal relationships, he just mentioned things that he helped me with a few things. But mentally, he was like, don't get too caught up in thinking you have to be this person, which you are not. And I look up to him, and he's definitely my icon. But as a cricket player, I want to obviously get his achievements and do better, but also be my own cricketer at the same time. So have the responsibility he had, but be diverse and be versatile to use my slogging skills and my batting skills, and which he had both. And that's why he was such a great cricketer and a great finisher. So I think that's very important for me, how he helped me with that type of stuff mentally. And
I feel like with that all-rounder title, and for me, it harkens back to somebody like AB, who was also had two disciplines that he was really good at. And you are as close to an essential all-rounder as we can get, because you're able to do both very, very well. Have you ever thought, maybe, what if you had taken the path down hockey? You know, does that ever play back in your mind? Because I know with a lot of people, when it comes to thinking who you could be and potential regrets, does that play very deeply into the world where Andile went and became an international superstar in hockey?
I've had a few thoughts there. I think hockey season is about to start as well now, and I'm gonna go watch a few games, but it has played a few things in my mind where I'm thinking, listen, what if you took hockey? Where would you be? I've got friends now that play SA schools, not SA schools, but they play SA men's hockey, and quite a few of them.
I mean, that reverse sweep is clean. When you play it,
I think that's where I've learned it from. And I've just thought about it, like, what if you had played hockey? Physically, I think I'd probably look better than Nick, because there's a lot of running in hockey.
The squatting and the blitz pace.
So definitely physically, I think I'd be better than Nick, but that's on my own, this is obviously. But it's a sport where I actually really enjoyed. Out of it, it actually brought more fun to me than cricket. I think cricket has a lot of mental things that can get you thinking about a lot of aspects about the game, about life. Are you stressed? You got a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah.
Where hockey is a lot of cricket's it's a team sport, but played as individuals.
Yeah.
Your decisions by yourself. Which hockey is a team sport, and that's where I think
it flows
quite well, and I missed that type of dynamic with the team stuff. But I'm glad I made the decision of cricket. I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't.
Our prospects are looking good for 2023, so I'm glad you decided on it as well. But it's always, for me, I like to do retrospective kind of look backs and just points where you think, because where you are right now, a lot of people see it as the pinnacle, and especially where we come from, the South Coast. I can just remember thinking that all the people you see on TV or the people you see on the billboards are not actually human. Like they're from another
celebrity.
place. Exactly. I mean, I see you on TV. I'm never going to see you in real life. If you had to say something to your younger self, as you are now, and you're on the climb, you're a rising star, everybody's recognizing it, and you are making great strides, what is it you would tell yourself there at 9 years old? Going through the motions, trying to make sure you can break through?
I would tell myself to believe in myself more without having to achieve something first. Because I think we as a person at that time, I was more fixated on something happening first before I could believe it could happen. And I think now there was something that I was short of in terms of believing in myself and believing I can achieve that. I thought I had to have things before, so I need to achieve things before, then I could believe that I can actually do this. And yet I think that was the wrong mindset for me, because believing is something that you need to have internally, and you don't need things to happen for you before you believe in it. And that's where I was short, and I think that's what I would tell my younger self.
Sounds like the words I'd tell myself as well. But I don't want you to leave before I put you on the spot, because I always like to know from great athletes, especially up and coming athletes, I need you to give me 3 GOATs, greatest of all time athletes. Now, they can be in cricket, they can be in whatever but I just need you to tell me the 3 for you that are just the athletes that have inspired you, that you think are amazing.
I think we're also looking in my generations what I watched on TV, because
I mean,
you're a young man. I wasn't exposed to TV. Also,
Gary Player might not be somebody you know. It's okay.
There's a lot of aspects we need to look at. Yeah,
we won't roast you.
My 3 GOATs, I would go Michael Jordan.
Thank you. That's for me. I'm
Michael
happy
Jordan.
Michael Jordan, the GOAT.
I would go Jock Callis. I had to go Jock Callis. Jock Callis.
This is from an all-rounder. I feel like if you didn't put him in there was going to be a problem. I was like,
that's definitely a problem if I didn't put Jock Callis.
Did he do his research?
Jock Callis and Serena Williams is a GOAT.
This is a man who knows. You brought in she is the GOAT though. She is the GOAT. That is a very impressive list. To be honest with you, after you said Michael, I was like, you're okay. You're not a bad guy. You're not a bad guy.
But then what are your 3 GOATs?
Okay, if I'm going to tell you my 3, this is a very simple thing for me. Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete to ever do it. Usain Bolt. That man has got records that are not going to be broken in my time or my kids' time. And then the third one, I was pretty good in high school. Like in basketball, I'm not saying I'm like the GOAT of all but I mean, if you put me on a basketball court, it was GOAT-ish. It was GOAT-ish. I was limited by my school. But I think I was the greatest one. No, my brother, thank you so much for coming through today. It's really inspiring to hear stories for people that we can kind of touch base on. I know growing up I had very similar stories to you. We've said this before, but just how you've handled what's happened so far and how you're looking forward to me tells me that you're going to be a very strong force for years to come. I know I'm backing you because of Michael Jordan. And I think just moving forward, if we can just keep watching you, we're really going to see something dynamic. So 2023 is looking great, and all the years further.
Thank you so much, Fezile, for having me.
Yeah, we've connected the dots with Medshield, Movement, Connect. The show has been absolutely amazing. It's my first one with this amazing young man. I think I'm going to go maybe pick up a ball again. I used to be an opening batter, and I had a bit of a medium fast bowler. So
it looks like hit the ball far as well.
I think it's time for me to get back into it. And clearly lockdown hasn't deterred him. Can't wait to see him on the field. Thank you so much, guys. Until the next one.
Life. There's nothing like it. So much to do, so much to see, so much to be. But during this time of uncertainty, how do you immerse yourself in its joys and wonders when all signs call for caution? How do you live in the present and gaze upon the future with equal peace of mind? The answer? Medshield Medical Scheme. The affordable health cover that we provide enables all South Africans to live assured, knowing that your health and that of your family will be taken care of in times of sickness, injury, and need. Our wide network of family practitioners, pharmacies, optometrists, dentists, specialists, and hospitals deliver fast and focused medical care when it's needed most, protecting and saving lives, healing from the heart to ensure extraordinary patient outcomes every time. So take those adventures. Make memories, achieve greatness. Relax and enjoy your place in the sun. Your future health is in good hands. Live assured with Medshield Medical Scheme.